In this session, we're going to continue on with line and paragraph formatting, tab stops, indentation, how to change the standard indentation that Word has set on your document, and start off with the basics of heading styles. So whenever you have a paragraph written down and then again you have the ruler activated, whereas we talked about in the first video, you can select one given paragraph to set a different indentation than all the rest, or you can select how many paragraphs you want to make the changes you want done. So if you look at the start of the ruler here, this element will pretty much show you what changes are you going to be doing and like how they reflect on that paragraph. So if you move just the top part of this element here that looks like an hourglass left and right, you're only going to be changing the position of the first line of the paragraph. But if you move the bottom part, you're going to be moving the whole thing, and thus the entire paragraph. So whenever you're doing, say, references in APA style, they need to be hanging references, hanging paragraphs, I mean. So that can either be done manually, the way I'm doing now, or it can be done through the line paragraph spacing options. So if you want to do it manually, all you need to do is move the whole paragraph to the side. So let's say that the hanging references must have an indentation that stops here, and then we're gonna just move back the first line of the paragraph so it's hanging. So this is the fastest way to do it, because you wouldn't need to go to the menu. And one cool thing about doing like this is that whenever you want to extend the same formatting to a different paragraph, you can use the format painter. So what the format painter is that instead of just regularly copying and pasting with Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V in Mac, you can hold down Shift as well, and as you paste it, so Command Shift C or Control Shift C will not copy the content but only the formatting of a given section. And then when pasting, you also do Control Shift V to get just the formatting pasted in different sections of your document. So this is how I would go about it, because it's faster. But then you can do it the other way around, as well, through the Word menu. So the way you would go about it is click under line and paragraph spacing options. You go under line spacing options. You go under indentation, and under special here, there's first line and hanging. So if you put hanging, the paragraph is going to be hanging as you see here on the preview tab, and the standard indentation used for this case is 1.27 centimeters. So you can change that if you want to, say 1.5. So that's going to be similar to the one I used here in this one, on the first paragraph. So let's hit OK. And there you go. So they're pretty much similar right now, but one was done through the menu and the other one manually. Whenever you indent a document, you usually don't see any indication of like hidden characters. In Word, actually, in Windows, actually, you're gonna be looking at an arrow as you press Tab, but for Mac, weirdly enough, that character only shows up when you actually apply a tab stop. So the reason why there are tab stops and their usefulness is related to getting your text to be symmetrical when you're doing like say a form, or you're indenting your document in a different style for a very particular specific session. So say if you're adding equations and you want the the equation itself to be centered, but the number that's, you know, kind of um, represents that equation aligned to the right, you would be better off doing tab stops than actually just using the standard tab key. So the way you would go about it, let's try and implement let's try and implement the example that I just gave about equations. So in Word, whenever you're trying to put in an equation, there are two ways of doing it. If it's a simple equation, you can just pretty much just use your, you know, just type it in as the same as you would do with the text. But if it includes like different elements like fractions or like roots and like integral or like sigma factors for sums and that kind of thing, you're probably better off using the equation tool. So you'd go under insert and click on equation. So in this equation tool, I'm just gonna put in something pretty simple here. So let's say I'm gonna do like a fraction, and I want it to show up like this, and it's gonna be like 3/4 then times or just dot, doesn't really matter. Let's see, sine of x, right? So this is our equation, and it is centered. So if it wasn't centered, say if it was aligned to the left, if it started off aligned to the left, we could just use the standard functions that Word gives us of alignment here on the top of the home tab to get it to be centered. But then whenever you're numbering these equations, say that I want to number this equation as 1. Ooh. So the only way that you could have like this centered and this aligned to the left. Most people would just try and insert like multiple tab keys, but when you do so, the equation shifts equally to the left, right? At the same distance that the number shifts to the right. So this is a perfect use for the tab stop. So what you're gonna do is go into the line and spacing options. You click under tabs, and then say that I want my equation to start off or to be centered at 8 right here. All right. So if you take a look at our ruler, actually, it starts off at 0 and it ends at 16.5. So the center of the document would actually be right here, like 8.25. So let's add a center aligned tab at 8.25. I'll click under add. Okay. And then I'm gonna add another tab right here at the end of the page, 16.5. So 16.5, and that's gonna be a right align tab. So for right align tabs, what that means is that whenever you gonna press, like the right tab is gonna act like a wall to the right. So no matter how much you type in, your text can never go over, like past that wall, right? And the opposite happens with the left tab. So if you look at the ruler now, for this particular line, we have 2 extra symbols here. So one of them is a upward arrow that represents the center tab, and right here we have a left pointing arrow that represents the right tab. So I'm just gonna backspace the whole thing. Just gonna remove these tabs. I'm gonna align this whole thing to the left, and now I'm gonna press one tab key. Oh wait, I just got an intruder tab here. Let me just remove that. Okay, so if you press tab, that is now centered, and since I want to align the number with the right tab, I put the cursor between the equation and the number, press tab again, and there it is. Okay. So that's pretty much it for tab stops. And for headings, whenever you want to title your chapters or paragraphs, you're always going to be using heading styles instead of normal styles, because when you're inserting tables of documents and tables of figures or table of tables, the way that Word works is that it looks for like keywords or key formatting styles to compose or to fill in the tables. So all of those tables, regardless of what it is, if it's a table of contents, figures, or tables, it's gonna be looking for heading styles. So we're gonna say that this first paragraph here is titled Lorem. So I'm gonna set this as a heading 1, and I'm gonna set my other paragraph also as a heading 1. Set a new line here. All right, so now that you have heading styles on your document, you can actually go into the navigation pane. Just 1 second. Let me refresh this.
Welcome to VoiceOver. Welcome to Voice.
Right, so now that Lorem and Palentask are both heading 1s, when you go to your navigation pane right here, you're gonna see both of those indexes right here on the left side, and they act as hyperlinks to your document, really. So you can, that means that you can navigate really easily just by clicking on them. So it's like a miniature table of contents in a way. Alright, so that's it for this video, and see you on the next one.